Fairway values family, and we treat our employees and our customers like their family.
If you're looking for a place to shop, our service is amazing.
We have put an emphasis on hiring good people.
One of the things that we talk about is just doing the right thing.
And that is so key to this day and age.
Fairway just isn't about selling groceries. It's about taking care of people.
That, to me, is the best thing we can do at Fairway.
Parker McCullum. Burn It Down Tour 2024, June 27th, Wells Fargo Arena. ACM Best New Artist, Parker McCullum Live, with special guest Corey Kent. On sale now at IowaEventCenter.com. Parker McCullum Live.
Two guys, two Chris's, one network. Iowa Everywhere. It's time for Two Guys with Chris Williams and Chris Hassel. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery from the Channel Seed Studios. Where? Everywhere. Live and always on demand at Iowa Everywhere.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Two Guys here on Thursday, the 13th of June. My name is Chris Williams. I'm joined as always by Chris Hassel. We are presented by Fairway Meat and Groceries. We are in the Channel Seed Studios. So I'm glad that you're still okay. Like, what in the hell is going on down in Florida right now?
Oh, man,
Hassel?
It's been a rough couple of days. Just nonstop rain. Oh, I had to walk through 1.5 feet of standing water in the work parking lot yesterday to get to my car. Sad to say, my Cole Haans are ruined.
Oh no!
Yeah, my pants are gonna need washing.
Are those shoes, by the way?
Yes,
Cole
those are
Haans?
shoes. Yeah. But the biggest thing was trying to get my family that lives in Corning, trying to get them back to Iowa because they were here. They were supposed to leave 2 days ago. So they were supposed to leave Tuesday morning. And they couldn't get out. No planes weren't leaving the Fort Lauderdale airport. So they went to the airport on Tuesday, couldn't get out. They were going to miss their connection in Atlanta. So they came back, stayed another day. And they're like, okay, we're going to try this again. And yesterday was even worse. They sat on a plane in Fort Lauderdale. These kids are 10 and 12. They sat on this plane for over 6 hours. Just sitting there,
awful.
Waiting to taxi out to the runway because it just poured and poured and poured. And there was flooding. Lightning strikes, so it pretty much shut everything down. We had to send them through Detroit. They finally got out late last night, and they had to spend the night in Detroit before taking a flight back from Detroit to Des Moines today. So I'm happy to say they're finally en route to Iowa, and they will be back in Corning by this afternoon, God willing.
That's a really long time for kids to sit on a plane.
Oh, man. Thank God we sent them on Delta, the Taj Mahal of airplanes, and they had TVs at every seat.
Yeah.
So they did pretty well, according to Grandma. So I was worried because it's raining. It's going to rain again today and again tomorrow. It's a mess down here, man.
In your streets and stuff just don't have the infrastructure, right? Like from what I understand, like it's just
everything's flat.
You guys are used,
so it's really hard to drain. The good thing about down here is that there's no dirt. It's all sand, so that drains fast. But we are getting a new air conditioner today, so the air conditioner guy is here. So. This is actually pretty good because it's overcast, so I'm not going to have air conditioning all day. Or my wife isn't.
How will you?
She works from home.
Survive.
I mean,
let's go take a dip in that pool.
We'll get through. We'll get hey, the pool almost flooded. Almost. It was close. I was holding my breath, but it's all good. How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm doing well.
You still have this
this janky setup.
Yeah.
I do apologize. I know my audio isn't great today, but the cord that I need will be in on Saturday, and I'm also hoping that next week I'll be able to be back in my office with
Roman says he's starting a GoFundMe to get you a new set of AirPods.
See, the AirPods don't work well with this though. Like they sound really muffled, and like this is actually better. Trust me, I've used AirPods I've used everything, and those things really, really suck. So, anyways, yeah, I'm hoping to be back in next week. Is my conservative.
Okay, what are you doing? Are you like itching your legs? You keep moving all around.
So I have to sit at my kitchen table, and it's just not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. I have to moving around. Got a lot.
He's on that tee, so he's got to be going and moving.
This is true. I'm on the game day Men's Health Testosterone plan.
By the way, it's good to see Van Winks in here. I was really worried about your relationship to one another and his relationship with the show after Van Woke bullied you into deleting a tweet a couple of nights ago. It was it really was. So we know Williams. He anytime he listens to music, he feels the need to screenshot that and tweet it. No matter what.
I've been doing this for like 10 years, by the way.
Whether it's a rap song or it's
usually Tupac or
George Strait. Yeah. Well, the other night, Williams is, he's listening to some Kid Rock. He's feeling it. He's grooving.
I was in my garage drinking beer. We had fireworks that night out in Bondurant.
Yeah, come
Everybody
on.
was hanging around. It was a nice night.
Having a great time. Proud to be an American. He throws up a tweet, listening to Kid Rock. What was the song?
It was Ba with the Ba.
Ba with the ba, the bang, the bang, diggy, 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 da, da, boogie, da, da, boogie, boogie.
It was Kid Rock's first song he ever came out with. This was the one that made him famous in 1998.
So Williams, like he always does, puts that up there.
Didn't even think about it.
Instantly, Van Woke is in the text in our group chat. Williams, what are you doing? Are you trying to get us all canceled? I was like, what? Huh? And he's like, the Kid Rock, he's MAGA. He's MAGA. He supports Donald Trump. And Williams is just so pissed that he gives in right away and deletes the tweet.
Yeah,
I just didn't want to deal with it.
I got to him. Finally got to him.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, Van Woke? I mean, you really want to be that guy?
I hate you. No, I don't want to be that guy. You gave me the Van Wokel tag, Williams.
No, it's not Van Wokel. It's Van Woke.
Van Woke. I just and it wasn't just Matt. The tweet was up for 4 minutes, and 6 people felt the need to. You made a great point. You made a great point in our text chain. Tell them about the Seinfeld thing.
So.
It's
look,
insane
I
that
hate this shit.
people.
I don't care what the artist supports or what kind of a person they. If you like the music, if you like their, if you like the way they act, whatever it is, an athlete. I don't give a shit. Are you Republican? Are you Democrat? Are you are you gay? Are you straight? I don't care. Okay. This is like being bullied into taking down a Seinfeld quote because Michael Richards, who played Kramer, said the N-word at stand-up comedy 20 years ago. Come on. He's playing a character. Kid Rock is playing music. And as you mentioned, this was 25 years ago. This is before he was even
I didn't
known as this.
I I did listen to Kid Rock in high school, and I still occasionally have him on, like, he'll come on a playlist, and I don't change his song. Like, I don't know. But like Matt and I were just kidding around in our little text thing, but I did just delete it because I'm like, I don't have.
I like the quote that you used from was it Keanu Reeves?
Yeah,
it's a really good quote.
I don't have the energy.
Yeah, it's like if you want to say 1 + 1 = 5, good for you. I'm not fighting you.
I'm never going to win that argument. You're never going to change your mind if you're that upset about that. So,
but we did stumble across some gold. Van Woke says that Tucker Carlson is coming to the Iowa Event Center. Is that
hasn't been
true?
Announced yet. I don't know if that's been announced yet.
Oh, okay.
He's doing a tour right now, but so he's making stops around the country.
Well, you pulled up his tour, and
yeah, he's coming.
He's
to,
touring.
Like,
Kid Rock is one of his.
Yeah.
Is one of his guests,
circle.
right?
Yeah. Well, isn't he from Detroit?
I have
Kid
no
Rock?
idea.
Yeah,
Kid Rock
so.
is.
Yeah,
he's
so
from Detroit.
Yeah, he's joining Tucker Carlson on a little tour they're doing. So
okay.
Well,
I hope he comes. I hope he comes to Iowa Event Center, and Van Woke can get out and get a little cultured. Listen to some views.
Well, now they're
going to
come after you.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with Tucker Carlson.
I
don't even listen to Tucker Carlson. But I don't think people should care as much as they do. And I'm not. This is all in good fun with Van Woke. But
I like that all summer long. What is it?
Is that the one with Sheryl Crow?
No,
singing "Sweet Home Alabama" all
summer long.
But that's the problem when you go like crazy politics one way or another, like Kid Rock did. Is there's people like Matt who like probably kind of liked his music who just won't turn him on now.
Sure,
like that. And those guys, they kind of see it as like a badge of honor too. Probably, like there's some guys who are there's some of these guys like Travis Tritt comes to mind, and like that they want to be, they're trying to brand themselves as that. I'm certain that Kid Rock is doing that.
If
now.
Mr. Rock wants to come on All Access with the Iowa Event Center, I would gladly welcome his conversation.
Okay, good. That's what we need. We need we need more of this. There used to be shows on TV where you would have guys clear on one side and someone clear on the other side, and they could have nuanced conversations.
Does it mean though that I'm just honestly, Matt, like, because you know me as well as anyone, you're like my little brother.
Yeah.
What does it say about me that I just would put up a Kid Rock song and not even? Is it a good thing about me that like
it is. Yeah,
because you like texted us within 2 minutes of that thing being up. And like, I hadn't even thought about it. I was just like, oh, I like this song. I'm going to tweet it out. Like, that was all. I never once thought like, oh, he's affiliated.
Yeah, I was just giving you shit. I just said, you ready to get canceled or something like that. But I didn't say take it down. I didn't say take it down. I just said.
I didn't even think about it. Like, I don't know. What a time. It's all in fun.
You're so
Hopefully
innocent.
we can make you all
so
laugh.
innocent.
I'm just glad to see Van Woke, on the show. I was worried. I really was for
he's
a while.
California kid, man. California kid.
California kid. Yeah.
Left
coast lefty.
We are presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery.
Oh my God! That was so. Fairway Frank was in your neck of the woods, huh?
Oh yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a superstar walking
so that's
through
that's where this whole thing started, because we have this summer fest in Bondurant that's like a 2-night deal, and it all began with Fairway Frank walking through the streets of Bondurant, and then it all ends with that fireworks display that I was listening to Kid Rock at the other night. Yeah, this is me trying to get Frank's attention.
So I showed this to some people at work, and they're like, a grocery store is in a parade? What is Iowa? What is this? Like, they didn't understand. Like, why would people be excited for a grocery store in a parade? They don't get it. They don't understand Fairway.
Well, then you saw what happened after the parade, right? We got a special guest appearance from the Fox.
What?
You didn't see
What
the
do you
video I sent you?
Which video? The one where you superimposed the fox in the parade?
No. The one where the fox was taking a dump in my yard.
Oh, yes. That was good.
Dude, the best part about this, Matt, play this video if you got it. So I was with Matt at the carnival that night. We're hanging out with all the carnies. And Matt walks up to me right after he sends us this text message of this fox taking a shit in his yard. And I was like, thanks for sending me a picture of that fox's anus, family.
I know, it was like anal protrusion.
And Matt didn't know that fox was taking a shit.
Well, yeah, because you listen to if you listen to the audio, they're like, "Oh, is he eating something?
Is he eating?"
Oh, I think. Oh, look how cute! He's bending over to eat something.
I literally didn't know that he took a dump. I was just like, "Oh, there's the fox." And then Williams was like, "Yeah, I saw his anus." I'm like, and then I think Aiden was like, "Yeah, didn't he take a crap too?" I'm like, I gotta look closer at this video.
Janelle said he went over and took a dump in her yard too.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm flip-flopping on this fox. So.
Oh, come on.
Now, yeah, if he's shit in my yard, that's a problem. Now we got a problem with the fox, in my opinion.
If what?
If that fox takes a shit in my yard, now we got a problem.
Why?
Pick it up.
So this is coming from the guy that sends Dirks over to Bloom's yard to take a dump.
He should, take the baton from Dirks, right? Dirks can't do it anymore. He's up in doggy heaven. So the fox takes the baton and heads on over to Bloom's yard.
Iowa Radio hires Pat Anger as its analyst.
I can't believe we have not talked about this at all. Like when they had the 4 finalists, you were shoehorning some crazy topics into this program. We didn't get to talk about it.
I'm the one bringing in weird topics. Okay. Jesus.
I am a little bit surprised that Learfield went this route because we know Pat Angerer as a guy who speaks his mind.
Yeah.
He's one of the iconic photos, he's being videotaped before a game and he throws up the middle finger to the camera. That is not like what Learfield and these school broadcasts necessarily want, because they want to be very guarded. They don't want anyone making it more. I'm not saying he does this, but being like a real huge personality, making it about them. They want straightforward stuff and almost like more of a cheerleader as opposed to okay, let's keep it real here. And I love this hire for that reason, because I think Pat is going to have the ability to be a little bit more honest with the listeners and the ability to show some of that emotion. And yeah, he is a Hawkeye through and through. He is black and gold and Kirk Ferentz, but I do think he is going to just bring kind of a new attitude to the booth. And I think, if the offense is shit or if the defense has a shit game, I do think he's going to have the ability to criticize. Not saying that Dolphin and Eddie never criticize, but I think that Pat will have even more of a leash, because that had to be part of the conversation here. Like Pat had to say, like, look, and I think he did in some of the quotes that I read. He's like, look, I'm not just going to be Mr. Cheerleader here sugarcoating. I'm not going to lie to the fans. And I think that's a good thing.
No doubt. And you don't hire Pat Angerer if you're trying to, that he's not the safe hire here.
Mm-mm.
I guess is the way I would put it. This is the good job on Learfield.
I think the safe
good
hire
job out of them.
Would have
Kading,
been,
wasn't it? Nate
Kading. And I know Nate. I'm friends with Nate.
Great guy,
I talked
so
to Nate.
Nice.
I think Nate Kading probably is a few steps ahead of any of those other guys as when you're just talking about maybe being a broadcaster.
I would agree.
And maybe breaking down a game and just being clean And I don't think Nate would have been super outspoken, but I think he would have been a great pick. I was a little bit disappointed because I wanted Nate to get that opportunity. I know he really wanted it, but I think this was my number 2, and I think this was most of Iowa fans' number 1. I think most fans wanted Pat Angerer because they remember him as a player who he was great. God, he was such a great player, coming from Bettendorf, where he won a state championship, and then on some great Iowa teams in 08 and 09, winning the Orange Bowl and just knocking dudes out. I mean, he's just cut from that old school cloth where, he did not give a shit about his body on that field. It was all about the team and harming someone else. It seems like he's kind of living a normal life now after several years in the NFL. I think he's working at some company in the Quad Cities. And I know that they wanted somebody that, like Ed Podolak didn't live in Iowa. They wanted somebody that was going to live there, was going to be on the ground, and was going to be more visible in the day-to-day. And all 4 of those guys that were finalists were native Iowans. And I do think this is a potential home run for Learfield and for Iowa. And I applaud them for going outside the box a little bit with this. And I do hope that they are going to let Pat be Pat.
That, and I also think, to your point about him being on the ground, it gives them more opportunity to use him in multimedia.
My dad chimes in. My dad, Bettendorf native. He says Pat works at a bank in Bettendorf, and my dad lives in Bettendorf. So,
but can't you do more digital stuff with him? Probably with
yes,
Podolak, you weren't able to do really, and you can put him you can take him to iClub events. You can do all that kind of stuff with. Not that Eddie wasn't doing that; he certainly was, but this feels really fresh. And good job. I like this one. I don't really know any of the guys. I've interviewed Kading a couple of times.
Kading is
I have friends who know Mitch
great
King.
Guy who has a ton of experience, speaking. And I do think that he was probably, as I said, he could have hit the ground running faster. Maybe there's going to be a few more growing pains with Pat, but I think that you don't have to have someone that comes in and is a broadcaster for this role, right? Like you want a realness. You want a guy with a bit of an edge. And I think even if Pat, stumbles a little bit at times, I think he's going to improve, and he's going to tackle this the way he tackled his football career.
Doesn't it feel too like we're kind of getting past the point where with these team broadcasts that we really want this polished sound? I'm not listening to Iowa and Iowa State radio to hear a polished sound like I did when I would tune into your games. Your games are supposed to be objective, right? It's this neutral crew that's at the big game of the week. Like when Westwood One does one of those games, I expect a certain level of quote unquote professionalism. I don't want that when I'm a Vikings fan listening to Paul Allen.
No, I mean, you want raw emotion. You want somebody yelling when something big happens, good or bad.
When our guy Mitch down in Kansas City, Chiefs fans aren't looking for him to just be like what you are. And, you're very, you're very emotional when you make calls, and it's why we love it. But it's also very professional. It's down the middle. It's objective. I don't know. To me, I think these radio booths, especially as it becomes more digitally focused, you're seeing these Learfields all over the country, have cameras in there. I would guess that they're going to keep leaning on that Varsity Network app, which I think is a phenomenal product. I would pay for that on College Football Saturdays. It's a free thing, but I would pay for it. It's so good. You can listen to all. I just think as we keep moving towards digital, I do think the business model for a lot of these Learfields, I don't know. They'll still pay for radio access, but I think some of their affiliates are going to drop. Like they're not going to pay for as many of them in the future. And I think it's going we're just starting to see it scratch the surface of going in a new direction. And I'm excited for this.
I am too.
I'm really excited for
Yeah,
this. It's just the
I
media
am too.
geek in me. I don't have a tie to Iowa like that, but the media geek in me thinks this is really intriguing.
A lot of possibilities here with Pat Anger. So good on Learfield for going in this kind of direction that a lot of people probably thought this was pie in the sky and it wasn't going to happen because Pat is just. I thought Chad Leistico had it was a great column that he wrote right when Pat announced he got the job, and a good line that this is a color commentator. It's not a vanilla commentator. You are adding color to the game. You're adding spice, and if Pat can be Pat, he has a great opportunity to fill that role as a real. As someone that you're going to want to, like a Charles Barkley, that you're going to want to listen to what he says.
It really is to give fans some perspective, like for these analysts like this to be able to do what we're talking about. It's more difficult than you think because you travel with the team. Like the coach has to unequivocally trust you.
Mm-hmm. And Kirk Ferentz, Chad wrote that Kirk gave his blessing to all four of these guys. So that was part of it. Like Kirk Ferentz had to say, yep. Like if DJK's in the mix, I think Kirk Ferentz is giving him the check.
It is really interesting, like just how this has all evolved because I've never traveled I'm on Iowa State football's broadcast, but I don't travel with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I do travel sometimes with the men's basketball team when I'm filling in for John and Eric. And there's this very real thing where if you say TJ Otzelberger is a terrible coach and then you sit next to him on a plane there's this level of, cause I think fans anymore, at least the ones we hear from, they just want you to, after a bad game, say, everybody sucks, blow the whole thing up.
Yeah.
And that's not a constructive way to conduct business in any way, shape, or form.
But you do have to be more honest, I think, than a lot of these team broadcasts are.
Correct.
Because
and that's where
these broadcasters are so scared that they're going to get in trouble.
It's on the coaches and the administration is where I was going with it. Like they have to be able to recognize that their fans don't want a constant press release.
Mm-hmm.
And the sooner that,
because these broadcasters, really, this all started because they were supposed to be an extension of the fan. They were supposed to be a fan in the booth.
Yes.
And
then it turned into power.
There might be 5 or 10% of fans that are always rosy all the time, but let's be like a real fan. That's what you want. You want somebody who's up, somebody who's down, and when you're down, you're being honest about it. You're being honest about the team and the performance and what you're seeing. You're not sugarcoating this shit.
And that's where these coaches have to let go of some of their
because a lot of them they think that these announcers should be a PR firm.
Correct. And that's not what fans want.
No.
Despite what any of them think, that is not what fans want. And I'm a firm believer that's why Cyclone Fanatic has grown the way that it has over the years, because sure, we want Iowa State to win. We've never once backed off from that. And it got us a hell of a lot of flack back in the mid 2000s because we were doing stuff that, not a lot of people were doing at that time. But we also would say, well, that sucked, we would give real analysis and these fans, when they're listening, they do not want the press release. They don't want, if you're losing 70-0 to Baylor, to flip it on to John and Eric and be like, oh, what a great night out here in Waco. No. When I flipped on that game.
You want Walter saying, well, there's no way this could get any worse. And then there's a run back, and Eric Heff goes, oh, you want to bet? Look at this asshole go. And Walter's saying, Jesus fucking Christ, it's now 77-3.
Yeah, you can usually tell within 30 seconds how the game's going if you're just flipping the radio on with Walters and
it's great. Yeah, Dolph's the same way. I know exactly what the I know what the outcome of the game's likely going to be by the time I flip them on, right? Like it's fun. I hope like it's a big deal to me that we never see a point. And I don't see anywhere where this isn't, but like I want these broadcasts to keep evolving, and I think Learfield's trying to do that.
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
It's tricky because their business model has constantly been in this AM FM radio for the longest time. And media is just changing, and they're so big, but like they've really put a lot of resources into this app that I think is going to change everything. I think that it's already done the way I don't ever listen to these games on the radio now. I just flip on this app, this Varsity Network app.
And the booth cams have become really popular at certain schools. That's something that they've really pushed Learfield nationally. I mean, when you talk about some of these major programs like in Alabama, I mean, you get a ton of people that want to be able to watch their guys in the booth, pre-game, during game, post-game, really get into this because you're not getting that. You turn it on, you got an ESPN crew that just flew in to do this game, and they are broadcasting for a national audience. These crews on the ground are broadcasting for you, the fan.
Let's move on. One other football note. I just found this. This isn't really local, but Aaron Rodgers is already skipping practice.
Hey, before we move on to this, can I say one thing? Because I just saw the text from Van Winks that was asking if Iowa had a sideline radio guy, and they do. Rob Brooks is on the sideline. But
Robbie,
I was talking with Nate Kading through this process, and boy, I think it would be really a great move for Learfield if they made this a 3-person booth and had Nate Kading on the field. Think about how important special teams are to the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Great point.
And to have Nate Kading, one of the greatest special teams players in Iowa history, was an incredible pro. To have him on the field, walking the sidelines as like your roving special teams reporter, I think that would add a ton to the broadcast if they did that. Now, these places aren't looking to add costs at this point, but I think that would really make Iowa a unique broadcast, and it would add for the fans because there's certain stuff, and I had it last year with Mike Golick Jr. in the booth. We're way up in the booth. It is there's certain things you can't see, you can't feel, and especially with the changing weather that you have in the Big Ten and the new stadiums that we'll be going to in the next couple of years. I think that would be a really smart thing to do, is to put someone like that on the field with a microphone. And I know that Iowa did this about 25 years ago, right before you had the big come together where it became all one broadcast, and it was all the old guys were kind of sent to pasture, and Dolph and Eddie were made the two guys with a Rob Brooks on the sideline. They used to have Ron Gonder on the sidelines, and it was just a different feel. Like he was he used to be a play-by-play guy, and he was more of a character. I think that's something that they should think about in the future because of the way Iowa plays, to get a former special teams player like Nate Kading out there on the field doing that. Don't you think that would add a lot to the broadcast?
Absolutely.
And not just have just a regular guy like me, a reporter,
reporting
on injuries, because Nate could do that too, but he would add things that just a regular sideline person could not.
Free tip to the Iowa Learfield team. It's Nate Kading presented by Kicks That Count or whatever. Like you just sell it.
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, you could monetize that. You could make that a good business. So it's not just an extra.
And you add him to the keep Rob. Yeah. I'm not looking to push Rob Brooks or anybody else on the sideline out of there.
Rob
Make it a 4-man booth.
Let Rob do his reporting.
Yeah.
Rob can do the weather. He can do the injury updates, all that stuff. All right. Torrey Taylor is out for his 9th punt of the day. What are you seeing down there, Nate? presented by Credit One Bank or whatever, like you just
Doesn't
throw it out.
CBS has Jay Feely
Yes,
do a lot of
they do.
theirs on the field, and I think didn't Pat McAfee kind of start that way? Didn't he do some broadcasts as well? So
yeah,
before he did his show.
I think Jay Feely does a great job at CBS, but a lot of times he's used as the number 3 guy that's just on the field, and anytime there's a question, kicking, punting, special teams, he's the guy they go to, and when they get, I think he was even involved, once they get into the playoffs and Super Bowl as another commentator. I think that would be great. The radio's different. Like, there's not as much room in the broadcast for a 3rd or 4th guy, but I really do think they could make this work.
Let's get into a few other topics here.
Yeah, sorry to totally pull back
okay.
on that. I just
it's June
Van
13th.
Wink's message made me think about that.
No, it's good. I don't know how big of a deal this is, Chris. You're certainly more up on it than me, but Aaron Rodgers is already skipping practice in New York. He told Robert Saleh, the head coach, that he was going to be gone. Saleh says it's unexcused, but he's missing it for a, quote, event that is very important to him. He'll be fined $17,000, $33,000, and $50,000 per day for missing the 3-camp minicamp.
So it'll amount to a little over $100,000.
Yeah, $100,000. I don't know what to make of this. It's probably nothing. It's just a bad.
It's just
look for a guy that
thing.
It's another notch that makes him look like a poor teammate, I guess.
Yes, and this is a guy that's coming off. He missed the entire year. We've seen him on the field in a Jets uniform for all of 3 snaps?
Yeah, something like that.
And this is mandatory minicamp. Even the guys that held out of OTAs because they want a new deal, for the most part, with the exception of just a couple, they show up to this stuff. Like Tristan Wirfs, for instance.
It's very entitled behavior.
Tristan Wirfs of the Bucks is due for a massive, massive extension. Probably going to reset the market for offensive linemen. Didn't go to OTAs because those are optional. But he is there with his Bucks teammates at minicamp, even though he wants that new deal. Aaron Rodgers, I guess we have to allow for, what is this event? We don't know what it is. Is it something that's just is it a funeral? No, I don't think so. It's because it was called an event and it's unexcused. If it was a funeral, it would be excused.
Yeah.
This is God knows what. So I can't. This is it's just a distraction.
It's already getting people like us talking about him where we never would be.
And now the New York media, they're like flies on shit with this thing. They're not going to let this go. They're going to ask every day about it, and every teammate's going to be asked about, what do you think Aaron Rodgers not here? I'm sure it pisses a lot of them off. Now they like Aaron. It sounds like his teammates like him, but it's just another thing. Come on. Who else is doing this? Nobody else is doing this.
Well, I tell you what, there's no Aaron Rodgers jersey at Game Day Men's Health in Ankeny. Been to all of them. They got jerseys everywhere, but I haven't seen an Aaron Rodgers one.
Speaking of, I can kind of combine this together. I did something. You must not have been watching when I did it, but I thought you'd be proud because we're talking Game Day Men's Health. We're talking mandatory minicamps. T. Higgins is one of the players that's holding out. Okay?
Yeah.
Because he's franchise tagged. Now, if you're franchise tagged, you can hold out and not be fined. So T. Higgins is holding out. We came back from break, and we had this graphic on the screen. It was like T. Higgins missing.
You didn't call him Low T. Higgins, did you?
So I said, there's Low T, and then there's No T. No T. Higgins at Bengals minicamp. I did that just for Game Day Men's Health.
Oh, I love it.
You didn't even send me that clip. I
should have. Yeah, I know. I did, at the time.
That's great.
I really thought it was. I really thought it was pretty damn good, but then I forgot to clip it to you guys.
So I did want to clarify. We actually had a very kind listener email us and they were worried about all of us because there's a bunch of these companies that do the testosterone replacement therapy that are garbage companies that they give you, like that they don't do it in a safe manner.
What?
Yeah, so like they'll just give you the jabs nonstop, and it's they don't. Game Day Men's Health is not like that. So like they take your blood, they do a blood test like once every 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. They're constantly keeping up on your blood work to make sure everything looks great. They do it in the right way. There's doctors there, for crying out loud. This is a legit company. I would not sit here and put my name on it if it wasn't. I've done all the research on this. This is not going into some strip mall and letting Dr. Jeannie, like this is they're doing real labs. This is healthy. This is good for you. You can do the research yourself.
Were you going to say Dr. Jeannie Jabs? Hello, I'm Dr. Jeannie Jabs. Here's your tea.
I feel great. I'm almost down 20 pounds at this point. I'm getting close.
And again,
since I started.
They're not jabbing you with Ozempic, are they?
No, they're jabbing me with testosterone therapy. But I'd started working out a little bit before, like I went there. But yeah, like it just gives you more energy. Like I
was gonna say,
I don't know how else to put it.
Not the stress of your basement and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably getting a lot more
back.
steps in too. Yeah. But no, it's great. Game Day
Thanks,
Men's
Game
Health.
Day.
Free consultations. You can go in there in Ankeny, West Des Moines, and also North Liberty. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are going to go at it on Sunday again. That's coming up on CBS. You guys have the game. Hassel, do you anticipate any more drama? Or are we going to get more? If somebody pushes Caitlin Clark, will one of her teammates step up and do something?
My God.
For God's sake, on Sunday? What do you think is this Chicago team? Do you think they're going to come at her like they did the last time?
That's a great question. I don't know. I haven't heard much from Kennedy Carter recently, but I'm really interested to watch this game. I think this is going to set a WNBA record on CBS. I wouldn't be surprised if 2 million people watch. It's Sunday, I believe, at noon Eastern, 11 your time, so it's early. So they're going to get out there, and they're not going to be in the way of like the U.S. Open final round, back nine or anything like that. I'm really interested, and I'm conflicted too because we bitch about this stuff, and God damn it, what a circus this has turned into. But then there's the part of me is like, what's going to happen? I'm watching it because I want to see what's going to happen. I feel like kind of a hypocrite at times because I don't want it just to be a blah, boring back and forth. I like this rivalry on the court between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. I don't like everything, like what it all turns into. Like when it gets out there and the first takes get a hold of it and all that stuff, and then it turns.
The worst is the politics.
Wars.
Did you see the stupid tweet by the GOP House committee or whatever it was about
and you knew
Caitlin
it was
Clark?
Come to that.
Oh my God, what are we doing?
I know.
So now they're trying to make it. It makes Caitlin's situation so much worse because now you've got this political party backing her. So now it frames her as a Trumper. She's said nothing or done nothing of that, but it's just these people that are trying to claim her for their side. It's ridiculous.
Always does the right things. She always says the right things. She's never really attached herself to any kind of political movement. I mean, anytime anybody tries to get her to do that, she will take the high road. She doesn't want to alienate anybody. I think she wants everyone to feel comfortable being a fan of her.
She's going anti-Kid Rock.
Yeah, very much so. But I did find out yesterday from an ESPN article, I didn't know this was going to happen. So Team USA is actually going to play the WNBA All-Stars next month. So Caitlin Clark is likely going to play in a game against Team USA, which is interesting. So the WNBA is going to have their all-star voting, which does not include. It's not going to include the players on Team USA. So it's going to be the next, whatever it is, 12 players from the WNBA will go on this all-star team, and then they will play Team USA. Now, I'm sure they'll get smoked, I would guess. But I think that would be interesting to see. Caitlin Clark in an all-star game going up against Team USA, would it not? I mean, at least she'd have
I'd love it.
Some better teammates on her team, right?
I'd love
Get
to
some
see
better
that.
players around her and see what she could do. That's like, I can't believe I'm sitting here saying I'm looking forward to an all-star game, but that sounds interesting. Like, if everyone plays, wouldn't that be interesting to see?
Absolutely. Yeah, and you hear some of those dream team practices from back in the 90s, right? Like maybe we get some of that heat. I don't think they would put that on. Would they put that on TV?
Why wouldn't it be on TV? I think that's going to be the All-Star game. I think that is considered the All-Star game.
Oh.
It's the WNBA All-Stars against Team USA. I believe it's July 20th, I want to say.
Yeah, I'm watching that.
And I think there's all kinds of events around it. I'm sure they'll still have their regular I'm sure there's going to be a 3-point contest and other stuff as well.
Want to get to Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi. I do want to touch on this. We have some people in the feed wanting me to talk about NASCAR at Iowa Speedway. We will do that right now for a minute, and then I'm going to do a 10, 15-minute CW pod today to get you ready for that weekend.
Okay. So you'll go more in depth on that? Because I've seen this. I mean, you know me. I'm not a NASCAR guy. I'm not a racing guy. But this has been on my feed.
Yeah.
Not people. Big-time drivers are upset with the changes to Iowa Speedway ahead of the first Sprint Cup race. What's going on?
I'll go in depth here later today. This afternoon, I'm going to sit down and do this pod. But I'm going to give you the dummy version real quick.
And you're seeing a picture of it right now. Van Wink's got it up if you're watching on our YouTube stream. They have repaved a bunch of turns at Iowa Speedway.
From what I understand, like this is not an ideal situation, but NASCAR owns the Iowa Speedway.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to be made clear at the beginning. So when they decided to bring the Cup Series to Iowa, and by the way, I'm hearing that this is probably going to be a long-term thing. This isn't like a one-and-done deal. So that's good. That's good news for our state, good news for our local economies, all that. And they've already put out deals to put your deposit down for next year because I already have mine done. So
is someone pissing in the background?
Yeah, that's my refrigerator making ice. What they found out was that this track hasn't been used much, right? They've had these random IndyCar races, but it hasn't been used much in 10 years. And they wanted to keep the pavement the same because in general, in this type of racing, the older the pavement is, the better the racing tends to be because it eats up your tires and it creates more strategy, which is more passing and all that stuff.
And doesn't it give the track its character as well?
Yes. But there comes a point where it gets so old that it begins to break. And what they found was that the bottom like half of the track in many spots had moisture that had gone underneath it and it was starting to crack. And they were worried when you get these heavy stock cars on it compared to the Indy cars that we were going to end up having like a 3-hour delay because the track is literally falling apart. So NASCAR screwed this up. They read the whole thing wrong. I would say this. I don't think it's going to be as bad as a lot of these drivers are making it. These drivers like to just bitch about everything. And again, I'm going to get more in depth about it, but like the biggest thing here, Chris, is the car. So NASCAR changed its car like a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. And this car has not performed well on tracks like Iowa. It just hasn't for one reason or another. I can get more in depth on that later.
Okay.
So I guess my point is, if this isn't some great race on Sunday, one, I don't think Iowa fans should worry that it's going anywhere because it's not. And two, I think it has more to do with the car right now, probably than it does with Iowa Speedway, because we've all been out there and seen amazing races. It's one of the best racetracks in the country. But NASCAR botched this. I don't know what other way to put it. Like they totally botched this by not getting a better read on the condition that the track was in before they scheduled this thing. And the other problem is Iowa's climate. So you can't just do these pavement changes in January. Like there has to be a certain level of heat. And then you have to have a certain amount of time in between the time you do that and when you start racing on it. This is not a great scenario, but I truly don't think it's going to be as bad as a lot of these guys are saying. We'll find out.
Okay.
Does that help?
And much more on the CW pod
later today.
Okay.
Yep. I'm going to do one later today. I'll probably talk for 10, 15 minutes. If you guys have questions, send me a tweet at Iowa Everywhere at Chris M. Williams, and I'd be glad to answer them. That is a passion point for me. I could talk for 2 hours about that, but I also don't want to completely go over your guys' head. This Joey Chestnut, Kobayashi. This is Mayweather Pacquiao all over again.
You had to know that this was a stunt when it came out that he was being banned from the Nathan's hot dog eating contest. And what was it? A few weeks ago, Kobayashi said, "I'm retiring. I'm just not hungry anymore. I'm not doing competitive eating." And now here we go, live on Netflix. When is it? September?
What are they doing this Monday night in September?
What? I thought it would be like, why wouldn't you
go head to head? Go on the floor.
Yeah, do it on the.
I still think Chestnut's going to compete. I think it's going to be a last second, like, we have to get him here. Our ratings are just going to be
Did
terrible.
you guys ever watch the 30 for 30 on the hot dog contest?
Oh, it's so good. It's so
Oh,
good.
my God, Hassel, you have to watch it.
The announcers like the story of that, too.
That guy, like the promoter, he's like Don King of competitive eating. It's crazy. He's like Dana White.
That is the best part of the whole 4th of July thing is his intro for Joey Chestnut.
He's a shark.
Because this sickens me. Like, I can't watch it. I won't watch it. I don't understand why anyone would watch it.
You don't like grown men shoving meat cylinders down their throat?
One, why would anyone want to watch someone else eat? That's one. Two, this isn't eating. It's not. Like, he's not up there really eating hot dogs. He is devouring. He is engulfing. He is dipping the bread in water and turning it into like a milky substance and drinking it. It's disgusting. So I don't care about this at all because I'm not going to watch either one of them. I'm not going to watch Joey Chestnut versus Kobayashi, and I'm not going to watch the thing on 4th of July at the Nathans because I think it's disgusting. I really do.
I watch it every year.
It grosses me out. Why? Why would you like to watch this?
Tradition, man.
Tradition?
It's the same reason I watch A Christmas Story on Christmas Eve every year. I don't necessarily need to watch it. In fact, I know what's going to happen. Chestnut's going to win, but I will not watch it now. You know what the biggest thing that pisses me off is that Chestnut went and signed with that vegan hot dog group.
Yeah, so are these vegan dogs that they're going to be eating on
I
Labor
don't know,
Day?
but he needs to be getting more flack for this. We're vegan. You know, you've made an entire living shoving random particles of pig testicles down your throat for 15 years.
Is that what a hot dog is? Pig testicles?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. It's the scraps. That's what we've been told.
There's some placenta mixed in there as well.
Little lips.
Van Wink says he's got a question for us. Go ahead and jump in there, Van Wink.
So when I was in high school, we did a hot dog eating contest, my buddies and I.
Of course you did.
10 minutes. How many hot dogs and buns do you think
10 minutes.
The top finisher had?
I would say
12.
5 or
12.
6.
12. You got it.
12?
12.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you eat 12?
No, I think I had like 8.
But my guess
How many
is
could
you
you
were
eat?
eating. I think you were probably eating those small Oscar Mayer ones, though.
I think we got Nathan's. It was either Nathan's or Ballpark.
You really ate. Somebody ate 12 of those big fat boys.
Do they? So the Nathan's, are they actually serving the fat ones, or are they the skinnier ones? I think they are the fat ones. You're right.
I think they are. I bet you were eating the little
we were
guys.
yeah,
you were eating the
probably.
low T wieners. You need to be eating the big T wieners.
So why do you have a problem with Chestnut signing with Impossible Hot Dogs?
Just seems very hypocritical to me.
But that doesn't. I mean, he's a professional eater. He's going to go eat other stuff. He's just endorsing.
But it sounds like he was saying he wasn't going to eat meat anymore.
If he made that personal choice, I would support it. I don't think that's the case.
By the way, the pride of San Jose, California, Joey Chestnut.
Shit. And I'm going to tell you,
you got to watch this documentary.
I'm not going to do it. If they don't show people eating, I'll watch it. Like if it's just about this other guy.
No, it's like the training that these guys do. Oh my God, it's good.
I had to stop watching The Bear. You know The Bear, the show on, I believe it's FX. It's people love it. It's about this guy who's got a restaurant. He's cooking up this Chicago beef.
I thought you were talking about Bear Grylls. You ever watched that show?
No, Man vs. Wild. I used to 15 years ago.
The last time I watched it, he took a big clump of elephant shit and he squeezed the water out of it and drank it. Because he was dying of thirst.
I saw Man vs. Wild once. He was
it's delicious.
It's all kind of staged. He's just showing you like what you can do if you're ever stranded out in the wild, the crazy things. It's all for show because I think it got out that he was staying in nearby hotels, but he was pretending to be stranded on like an island, and then he built a raft and he was going to try to float out and find other land where people might be. So he builds this raft and he picks up all this like plastic that had been washed up on shore. And this son of a bitch goes out on the raft and is like, well, I don't have any water and you can't drink the salt water, but you know what you can do is you can give yourself an enema. And if you put the salt water up your ass, it actually won't dehydrate you and make you sick. So he takes like this crazy plastic that had washed up on shore and makes a funnel and sticks it right in his ass and gives himself an ocean enema.
This is him drinking the elephant shit right here.
Oh my God, that's disgusting. Oh, just the sound of it.
Let's hear him talk.
Not one of the better drinks I've ever had.
Not one of the better drinks I've ever had, but it had some vitamin water.
I love that show. I used to watch the hell out of that.
The reason I brought up the Bear, the TV show, is because I had to stop watching it because I can't watch people eat. So they're cooking all this food on this show, and they're eating these Chicago beef sandwiches, and it's making me hungry as hell. Why does anyone do this? Why would anyone watch like a cooking show? Why would anyone watch The Bear? It's either going to make me sick if they're eating hot dogs like they do on 4th of July. That's disgusting. Or it's going to make me hungry, and it's going to make me want to stuff my face with food. So I have decided
that won't make that
to
happen.
just never watch anything where people eat on TV.
You're like my daughter, Cameron. She gets really pissed when people chew loud next to her. It really bothers her. She'll get like actually pissed off about it.
There's few things are worse than if someone sidles up to you and they're chewing on something, or what's the worst is when they suck on ice. If someone is an ice sucker.
Yeah, ice suckers.
Oh my God. I tease all the stuff that we had in the rundown, and then we wouldn't get to 80% of it. And so people, you talked about high socks for like 3 shows.
Yeah, we still need to talk about that. Those kids these days are wearing
the high socks are back, brother.
Yeah, they just love them. I will give you guys a recap of Iowa Speedway on Monday. I'll be out there for much of the weekend. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there.
Oh, yes, happy Father's Day. All right. I hope your kids get you something nice.
Maddie, thanks for being a good sport.
You know what? Maybe your kids will get you some AirPods. How about that?
I don't want them. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks to our sponsors, Fairway, Channel Seed. We'll be back on Monday here on Iowa Everywhere.